Good evening. Welcome to the Wakefield Board of Selectmen meeting for August 11th, 2014. I'd like to start by approving the minutes of our July 21st meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Tiz. Unanimous. Next, Steve, do we have public participation?
No, but we do have a couple of women from Armory Street, and they may want to chime in during that section.
Okay, that's fine. All right. The next one is personnel and appointment. We have a slate of election officers for year 2014 to 2015. They've been presented to us, they've been in the packet and in the record, and they will continue to be in the record after this meeting. I suggest we take one vote for the entire slate. If anybody have any objection, or is there any discussion? Is that okay? Can I get a motion to appoint the entire slate of election officers?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Tiz and second by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item, we have public hearings. Do we need to wait? I think we do, right?
Yeah.
So there's a public hearing scheduled for 7:40. We'll come back to that. Bated breath. Mr. Sullivan. Okay, so that's right to our Rail to Trail update. We've asked Dot Halpin to come up and just give a status on where we are with that and things we're doing with Linfield and so forth. And I think this is another feather in Wakefield's and our surrounding communities' cap if we can get it done, but it's a matter of getting it done. So Dot's the person on that. Go ahead, Dot.
Hi. I'm very glad to be here. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of the Rail Trail Committee. Every time I go somewhere and I ask people, do you know about the rail trail? They go, no. And I've been working on this for 10 years. And I just wanted to say, as background, the basic purpose for our coming to being was to facilitate the conversion of the freight right-of-way that runs through town and Conveyor Park. We've worked to achieve the official abandonment. We've pursued and received funding for feasibility study that was completed in 2007, and we worked with the legislature and the governor to receive the funding for the engineering and design work, which is where we are right now. We have been working together with our counterparts in Linfield to make this a multi-community effort, because this gives us more visibility. It also gives us more exposure for any possible state and federal grant funding, which is how we intend to pursue this. The towns have gone through the official bidding, the request for proposal process, and chosen a consulting firm to do the design and engineering. The firm has gone to Mass DOT, and my understanding is that we do have a transportation improvement plan number. We're a tiny blip on the radar. It doesn't mean this is imminent, that we're going to be pushed by the Mass DOT. Mass DOT is actually the ones who do the construction. The engineers are currently in the process of the preliminary work on wetland flagging and borings for soil stability. They also have done some traffic counting and the sight lines to make sure that there are good sight lines when there are street crossings for both pedestrians, bicyclists, and any vehicular traffic on the roads. There have already been public meetings that the engineering firm had set up. There was one in Wakefield, one in Linfield, both in April, and there will be more as the process goes, because we and the engineering firm are interested in the residents' input. Basically, the project, the way I see it, is in the hands of the town administrators, town council, and the consulting firm at this point, because the MBTA still owns the right-of-way, and a lease has to be signed before the towns really can move on with the meat of the project. I believe the consulting firm has already gotten permission from the MBTA for their preliminary work. Once a lease is signed, we can begin, as the Rail Trail Committee through our nonprofit organization to raise funds for corporate sponsorships and various fundraising endeavors that will be necessary for the ongoing operation of the trail. I want to thank the public and our continued support over the years. Whenever we've had a presence at the Festival by the Lake or we're featured at the Farmers Market, the response has always been overwhelmingly positive. And over the years at those various appearances, we've collected over 1,000 signatures showing public support for this project. There are so many benefits to the towns for the development of this linear park because there will be economic benefits. There'll be a new customer clientele exposed to both Wakefield and Linfield. The social, educational, and health benefits for students because there are schools in both towns that will be adjacent to the rail trail. Students will have safer biking and walking paths to school. So I want to thank you for letting me give a quick little update tonight. Definitely interested in any updates you may have for me at this point in time.
Can you thank you very much for that, by the way. And do you mind giving us kind of the next hurdle or whatever wherever you're at right now? Because I understand that there's some activities have occurred around this, hiring the engineer to do the studies and borings and flagging that have moved forward in Wakefield, but I think we're waiting on a Linfield piece to pop in to finalize that project. Like, what's your next biggest hurdle in this?
Actually, I don't know. I haven't been in constant contact. I get in contact every once in a while with the engineering firm just to see, but I think they're mostly dealing with the town administrators, and
Okay.
I would look to Steve for any information on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming in, Doc. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
This has been a long,
Oh, yes.
an inch closer, I guess.
Yeah.
Right now, what we're trying to do is to complete a plan, a design for the rail that we can then get the funding through Mass Highway for. So that's what we are. Wakefield has signed the agreement to have that done. We did secure through our state delegation funding to get that done. So that had been done a couple of years ago. What we are doing is, they've done some preliminary work there. There are some wetlands issues that we need to be aware of. We are going out, or the engineer firm is trying to go out to
What firm is it? Is it?
World Tech.
Okay.
They're going out to flag each property in each abutter, and they need the permission of both the conservation, or the authority from the Conservation Commission to do that, which they have in Wakefield. I don't believe they have it yet in Linfield, but they're applying for it. And they also need the affected abutters to actually give permission to go on their land to do some flagging. I think that in Wakefield, we have 9 abutters and have received permission from 7 of them. I don't know the numbers in Linfield, but unfortunately, I don't think it's as good of a return on that. But they're working on it, and it is difficult to get to people and have that done. Once all those items are done, they will actually put together, and this is where the fun will begin, they'll be putting together a plan. They'll have public meetings to talk about how it's going to look and where it's going to be. And when all of that is done, we get to a certain design phase, and I forget what the number is. Is it 50% design or 80% design or 75? They have some term of
Yeah, I
art
think
that
it's
the engineer.
75, maybe.
75, which is really like 95% of the way there.
Yep.
Then that is taken to Mass Highway, and Mass Highway blesses it, puts us on the funding list. We have a number already, as God help. And then we kind of push forward to get the money for that project to do it. At that time is when we will work with town council to get the license and the necessary insurance for the corridor, because then we'll be actually working on it. Right now, we do have a license to do some of our borings of just stability for soil, no environmental testing at all, because we don't want to know, and they certainly don't want to know at the state level. So that's kind of where we are right now. So it is progressing. It is a long process, but we're taking a few steps
Clearly.
forward.
Is it a license or a lease ultimately?
I think ultimately it'll be a lease. Right now, it's a license that we have.
the license for the.
For the work.
To go on,
Yeah.
but ultimately, we'd lease.
I think it's a lease,
Ultimately, it would be a 99-year lease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it will go to town meeting. This will have to go to town meeting at some point, but we're not there yet.
Right, and then.
Both towns, actually.
And then my other understanding is that, so you'll get funding from the state to fund
Right.
how much of it? All
We're,
of it?
we're hoping all of it. Any tip certified project, we're hoping that it will all come through there.
Okay, and my understanding is that maybe you'll talk about, because I think people get nervous when anything costs money. One of the benefits here is that we defray the cost, whether it's a local cost or a state cost, through selling the rails that are there. Do you want to talk about that? Aren't there companies that will come in and without charging us anything, will basically build the trail in exchange for the right to take the rails out?
There are, but again, that has to work in with the plans that the engineering and consulting firm, I know they've worked, they did mention they've
Yeah.
worked before with what you are talking about is like Iron Horse Preservation
Right.
Society,
So,
or
yeah.
something like that, where they come in, but how that actually happens, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have the authority yet to
Yeah.
do that, because we don't have that.
But I'm just thinking for anybody
Right.
that's paying attention and saying, hey, we're gonna spend a whole bunch more money that we shouldn't be spending, or, trust me, those folks are out there, as we know, and it's good to know that, that we actually have something of value here, that we can do a quid pro quo that doesn't involve cash. Obviously, it'll involve some cash, but there's a substantial amount of work that gets done, basically, without any outlay. So that's always a benefit to any project, so. Anybody else? Paul?
Just one quick question through you for Steve. Steve, how far along are we with the MBTA in regards to the actual real transferring?
Oh, we're not even doing that till we have a plan and a approval of that.
There's been no approach on that?
Well, we have their kind of boilerplate language and stuff that town council has done a lot of work on. So we're in conversations, but not even near going for that. Because we're not gonna do that until we're ready to build and it's
Okay.
funded, take it any earlier.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any, I was talking to Dot briefly before the meeting, anything that we, this board, me, you, anybody can be doing to help accelerate the process? Is there anybody out there that needs encouragement of one form or another to help move things along, or?
I don't know on the Wakefield side of the town line whether there's anybody that needs to be really worked with to give the permission to do this forward. I haven't heard that, but I'll check on that. And I will contact the Linfield Town Administrator tomorrow to see where they are.
Yeah,
And
if we
report
want to
back
have
to the
some
board.
kind of joint meeting
Yeah.
or encouragement activity. There's a lot going on between Wakefield and Linfield right now, not to mention Market Street, right?
Right.
There's a lot of discussion there, so good opportunity to open that up.
I have a question. Can a single abutter stop the process of the trail, because they don't own the property behind
Right.
that the trail would be going on?
Right, I think it could be somewhat problematic. We would like to make sure that we have everybody on board and
Sure,
can take
I
care of all of
understand.
their needs and what have you. But can a single person, I guess if we needed to
Derail
get on there to do some really intense wetland flagging and that caused an
Yeah.
issue, that would make it much more problematic, but
I mean, I understand
it's not an
Linfield's is much
appealable
more of
event
this
like the
issue
Board of
than we-
Appeals thing like that, so no.
Yeah, that issue came up at the public meetings.
Right.
The abutters in Linfield were very vocal
Right.
about where their property is and where the rail trail is supposed to be. And that is gonna be, I think, a bigger issue on the
Wakefield,
Linfield
right.
side than
Just
we've
fundamental
experienced here.
opposition. That's-
Fundamental opposition, and they're trying to bring up crime statistics. I've spoken with many times, and he has spoken with all of the chiefs along the Minuteman Rail Trail and anywhere else that we've talked about.
There's no-
The police chiefs all say.
You'll still get a postcard in the mail that says crime will triple by
Oh,
having a
right.
rail trail. Just be ready for that.
But, I mean, if you look at the Bedford Trail,
Oh,
people
Yeah.
now actually advertise their houses for sale on the rail trail.
It's a plus, right?
It's a plus.
Definitely plus.
So it's a good thing, I think, in so many ways.
Yeah.
I thought it was a no-brainer 10 years ago. Little did I know.
We've said that before,
We
doesn't
know,
it?
we know about, the no-brainers are the ones that bite you. so
Doesn't always
Yeah.
work.
They do, don't
Get ready for the postcard.
they?
So, okay, well, great. Let us know, obviously, the idea, let us know if there's anything we can do to help, whether it's with Linfield, with the state, with, here. I'm a huge fan of this. And my family, we have a bike rack that holds 5 bikes on the back of our car, and we drive to wherever there's a rail trail, and that's where we go bike. It's safer, nicer. It's such a wonderful asset, and you know, it's one of those things, like so many things, we go to another town to do it and say, boy, why can't we have that? And we can. It's right here, and it's about to happen, and I'd love to see it happen. So, whatever you need.
Steve may not know it, but he's my best friend.
Thank you. You're my best friend.
Sorry, Emmett.
And I have so few friends.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doc.
Appreciate it. All right, that was great. Let's go back to our public hearing. We need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
All right, moved by Paul, second by Tiz. We'll do a roll call on that.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, so we're unanimous. We'll open up our public hearing. Mr. Sullivan, we'll talk about, I think all of these are on one hearing, right?
There's 2 separate areas, North Ave across from the Galvin and
Yeah.
Lowell Street at
I-
the Cumberland Farms.
We should address them that way. Start with Lowell, just because it's on the agenda that way. Just, I don't think we need to go through and discuss unless somebody wants to, each individual
Right.
poll location, just talk about the two
No, I-
projects. You got the drill.
Do I need to start off by saying Steve Mayo's my best friend?
It tends to
Doesn't
help.
hurt.
I'm starting to learn how to work with him.
Taking a few years.
How many decades?
Oh, my gosh, yeah, what a work in progress. On Lowell Street, at Cumberland Farms, or with the new Cumberland Farms will be constructed, this is a petition for 2 new poles there. Basically, there's 1 pole in front of there now, and it's 1 on either side of it. These poles are actually the underground wire project that we want to do at the head of the lake. Both of these poles will be riser poles, so that the underground wires will come up at each of these locations before the culvert at the head of the lake. So it's a critical it's a critical point that we need to have permission to do if we're going to go underground.
So these will help, you know, these will help with the whole
With
project.
this,
of
we'd be able to
getting rid
clean
of
up all the other poles.
Poles at the head of the lake. These are something that furthers the activity of getting rid of those.
Right, you know,
Sure.
those laminate poles that we like so much will be sold, whatever we can do with them.
Right. Just throw them in the lake. Go ahead.
No, but that one, that's as simple as it gets. On either side, we're looking for poles on either side of the one existing pole at the head of the lake. On
Move
Lowell
the
Street.
existing pole? Or
Huh?
leaving the existing pole or removing the
The
existing?
existing pole will stay there.
So you're going to end up with 3?
We'll end up with 3. There's 1 now plus the
Yep.
2 new ones, right? But the 2 new ones will both carry different circuits from the underground.
It's a good thing.
This
Okay.
this is a good thing.
So there's 3 poles there then.
There will be. There's one.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so starting, what I'm gonna do is move to, in a moment, to do motions on the 2 Lowell Street poles. I guess we need a separate vote on each pole. But before I do, just anybody from the public here to speak on the poles, and specifically at this time, the 2 Lowell Street poles? No? Okay, so no public input, so, can I get a motion on the first one to approve the, let's see,
What are they? 0214-1 and then -2.
yep,
So
which
dash
will be
one.
numbered poll 36 and a half. So it's in our packets and it's in the record, so, motion to approve that. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tiz, second by Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. The second one on Lowell Street is poll numbered, will be numbered 37 and a half, as reflected in our packet. Can I get a motion on that one?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the Lowell Street poles are approved. Now we'll go on to the North Ave, which I call the Galvin poles.
These are the Galvin poles. This is actually another good thing. Essentially, we'd be moving the poles that are on North Ave right now on the Galvin School side of the street along the old Walton Field and moving them across the street. There were discussions that Steve took part, I mean, many people took part in about whether we could help out at the Galvin School and make it a safer walkway and a better presentation up there. And we can if we move the poles street. So this is a petition for 7 poles to replace the poles all along from Armory Street to the new Galvin School, and we'll be able to move them across the street. And
Okay, this is
that will give us the ability to bring power to the Galvin School as opposed to the temporary power right now, which we're essentially, shunting off the west side, which really can't afford the extra load right now. And so they'll have a dedicated circuit for the Galvin, and we'd have the ability for any other construction that would take place in that area, including, we already had to make upgrades because of CVS at the end of Armory Street, but it all ties into the new circuits that would be part of that. I have met with Mark Hurley, is the owner of some of the properties across the street, and we met on site today, and talked about, what the poles would look like, and, and I told Mark is, as good a citizens we have in this town, and, pretty interested in the aesthetics and, what it's gonna look like in Wakefield, so, he had my pledge that I'll work with him, to the extent that there's options for, guide, wire, system, or any other systems that we're gonna have up there, we're gonna work with him to make it aesthetically pleasing for him.
Okay,
That's it.
great. It sounds like a great improvement, a good project. With respect to the Galvin-related poles, is there anybody in the public who wants to speak on those? Okay, anybody on the board? Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Gene, thank you for coming in. A couple of questions, sir. North Ave, you're taking whatever poles are on the easterly side of North Ave and putting them onto the westerly side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The poles that are going to be constructed are going to be what, the wooden poles?
The wooden poles, right.
The 37-foot?
No, they'll be about 50.
50 feet?
Down by the Boudiette Garage and going forward, you'll see some taller poles down there. You see taller poles that we've already placed on Armory Street. We'll be bringing all the services up to literally a higher level there. So they're 50-foot poles, about 6 of that goes in the ground, but that's what they're called.
Now, I'm a strong advocate for banners, okay? And this was handed to me prior to the meeting. Is there any way of putting something like that onto the poles? How about this? How about opening a discussion?
I would say that
between-
anything is possible.
How about opening a discussion?
And I would,
With the
you know-
chairman's permission, that we look into, see, on at least the 14 new poles that we're putting in there along North Ave. I mean, it might be.
No, I understand that there isn't a vertical surface in this town that you haven't wanted to attach a banner to. To the extent that we can assist in that, we certainly would like to work with you.
And again, my approach would be that we work with this board and with the MGLD in order to accomplish that goal of getting the banners installed on a few of those locations.
Yeah, it ties into the downtown project too. Yeah.
Well, let's start where we're talking about now, because, what we're.
Well, I don't wanna get your hopes up on
I
anything.
think we'll certainly we'll certainly pursue that. I don't know if we would, didn't hear you suggested that we'd make it somehow a condition of the approval.
Oh,
but-
absolutely not. I'm not even going down that road.
I think we'll do it, and
No,
I
I'm
don't see
just
any reason
curious.
why these folks wouldn't want us to make their large dead tree telephone poles look prettier with your banners, so.
My banners, now it's the town's banners.
We always look forward to the opportunity to work with Selectmen Tanaka on these projects.
But no, just a quick question, that was all. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to entertain motions on each of these. I'll just call them out. I think I'm just going to refer to them by their poll numbers. That's what they are in the document. So with respect to poll number 7, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz, which I have a feeling is exactly how it's going to go in all of them, right? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Poll number 8 and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Poll number 9. Can I
So
get a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. Poll number 9. All in favor? Poll number 10.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. Poll number 10. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, poll number 11.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Poll number 12.
So
Two more.
moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
And poll number 13.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all of the polls are, thank you. Thank you guys for cooperating and rolling through that.
Mr. Chairman, if you would indulge me just one last question. So Gene, while you're here, a while back either Mr. Dion or someone at the MGLD gave us a time schedule for the downtown polls. Do you have any information as to whether or not that project's,
It-
how far along that is?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, quickly, there are 48 poles that need to be replaced downtown with the new architecturally or aesthetically pleasing poles. The first 12, we've committed to do 12 a year for 4 years. We'll spend about $90,000 to $95,000 a year on the 4 years to get this project done. The first 12 have been ordered, and actually, it turns out their expected delivery date is the end of this week.
Excellent.
You know, so we'll have the first 12 in this year.
Even with the new heads or with the same heads?
No, new heads,
New heads.
Are they coming, the new heads coming in too?
yes.
So the
Do we ever
selectmen
look at
FC
those, or
Yeah, right.
you're
I-
very confident we're all
I
gonna
don't know
love
if you
them,
looked
just
at
like the polls at the head of the lake?
No, but, yeah. They, you know, they've been around town, but I mean, absolutely, if they're in here, I will give notice so we can take a look at them. I mean, you know,
How does our clerk put that in the minutes?
I know, yeah.
A slam dunk?
I just want something I can deny.
But thank you for bringing some information though on the downtown.
So it's a 4-year project, 12 a year,
12 a year,
And-
planned out over 4 years.
right. And we'll,
Excellent. Thank you,
and
sir.
we'll make sure that you like the design.
Make sure the chairman is notified of the
Did you
design.
want the ability to hang banners on those poles too while we're here?
Well,
Yes.
you know something, if this board so elects to do so, that would be an option that I would like to explore.
Oh, thank God, because we have, you know, accommodated that, and we have built them with the structures in them. They'll have the brackets to do that. I mean, we can take that off if you,
Yeah, I was gonna share something later.
no, we can share it later.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene.
Mr. Chairman, thank
I
you.
think we're all
Thank you.
set. Appreciate it. Can I get a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
And second by Paul. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and yes, it's unanimous. We are now out of our public hearing, and we'll move on with our agenda. Which is, let's see, rail trail we did. Request from Fire Chief Michael Sullivan to accept and expend a gift to the fire department in the amount of $1,000 from the Rotary Club with thanks.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Request from Sharon Gilly at the library to accept and expend gifts in the amount of $5,416 from various donors with thanks.
So moved.
Paul and Tiz, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Request Social Club, for the West Side Social Club Fourth of July Committee to use the Lower Common for fireworks on August 23rd, 2014. Moved by Phyllis, second by Paul. Any discussion on that?
I think just a little clarification, that's okay. You know, we after the rain events that we had during the 4th of July weekend, the decision was made to move the fireworks to coincide or to become right after the Festival Italia. And Selectman Dinoco, who's that project is near and dear to his heart, graciously agreed and thought it was a good thing to put these two events together, actually. So I realized that, you know what, the Selectmen never gave permission for that date, so we needed to come back and have that done, number one. But number two, what will happen is that, like the 4th of July celebrations, the West Side Social Club 4th of July Committee will actually go and set up their stuff on the common, so they're ready at 8 p.m. to take off when the Italian Festival ends at 8 p.m. We're hoping that everybody goes down there and enjoys the fireworks and enjoys, there'll be a tribute to Mike Angelo, who a lot of us know. There'll be a very short, a short musical program, very short, with some words said about Mike Angelo. And that'll start at 8 o'clock with this whole thing to be wrapped up probably at 8:30, the fireworks, 8:30, 9 o'clock, the fireworks will start.
Okay, so they're gonna use the common the entire day?
They'll be setting up the entire day, so I think in the past, we've given it to them for the entire day to kind of take control over that area, but nothing to begin until 8 o'clock that night.
Why
they
so
don't-
late? Why not let people enjoy it at?
Well, people
6
can go in
o'clock,
there and
5
enjoy it,
o'clock?
but they won't be selling anything, and the vendors won't be working until later, but they're just gonna secure areas. And we will close Church Street between the two commons like we have in the past, if the board so desires.
Okay, I think we desire, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
so.
a smart move.
I think the police chief desires.
Yeah.
And Spalding will be limited as well, and we've done that in the past every year. So it's kind of a mini 4th of July.
Can we start a little earlier? Just at 8 o'clock seems, my kid's down there at 7 o'clock or something, that'd be nice, but no.
I think we want them, the two events to go on simultaneously, or right after each other, I should say.
The reason what it was they agreed that they wouldn't conflict with the 2 to 8 festival downtown. So that so the people would maintain coming to the downtown first and then going down. We wouldn't want to be distracting between there and the lake.
Okay.
So it would just
Might
work.
be different people going to each event, but so be it.
But it was an agreement that was worked out between the two committees.
Two groups, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Can we get a motion to approve that, and Steve will administer the whole,
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by Phyllis. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. The next one, I'm just gonna throw to Mr. Mullen for a quick explanation. I think there's a grant of an easement for drainage purposes at 50 Oak Street.
Yes, we have a drain pipe that runs under the property at 50 Oak Street, and there were two problems with it. One, we don't have an easement for it, so we have no right to be there. And two, it's very inconvenient for construction that the owners wanted to do on the property. So we have agreed with them that they will reconstruct the pipe in a location that is acceptable to the engineering department and that is convenient for the owners in their current construction, and they are giving us an easement. So what I would like from the board would be a vote authorizing the acceptance of the grant of easement, and in some grant of easement form that I'll be circulating. I'd like all the selectmen to sign it.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good. Any discussion about that before we take a vote? Good, any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion to, I guess it's accept the easement, right?
Yes.
It's described by town council.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, and that document's coming around. We'll try to
Yeah,
remember
it's
to give
coming
it
around.
back to
Make
Sherry.
sure that we give it back.
Yeah, great. I think I've flown to other states with documents, so. All right, the next one up is, the Traffic Advisory Committee has made recommendations regarding, the traffic pattern for the new Galvin Middle School. Do we have, I guess the police chief was
No, I think
going to
you're
present,
you're
but-
stuck with me.
But we've got Steve. Do you mind coming around?
Nope, don't mind at
No,
all.
I'm just kidding you. Go ahead. So Steve's going to present on that.
Right, there's a brief PowerPoint that I had sent to you over the weekend. It's a little bit different than was in your packet, so maybe some people from the neighborhood here that can take a look. It'll be on the screen right behind you, so you might want to move, get your chairs around.
Maybe you should go over there.
No, I'm good.
Is that okay?
I think this- First of all, I do want to thank the neighborhood, particularly the Armory Street neighborhood, because this has been although it's a great project for the community, and but seeing it go up every day is wonderful. There are people on that street that have had to live with the day-to-day inconvenience, so I do, I think it should be noted that they did have to put up with that, and I do thank them for their patience. And I'm gonna have to continue to thank you, unfortunately. But anyways, the Galvin School parking lot, I don't know if people at home can read, but the Galvin School project, as a traffic advisory committee, really because we were concerned about the overall flow of traffic for the next year. And I'll preface by what I'm saying is that everything that's happening now, that we're gonna talk about tonight, is really only for the next year. And in fact, I'm gonna ask for the motion to limit that, so we can come back in a year and evaluate what's going to happen. Because of the school is done in phases, and the school was done in phases for a number of reasons. Mainly because it's a tight site to build on, and I think you can see that as we're going through that. But as importantly, if we were not to build the school in phases, we would have to have rented swing space for the students, which would have added millions of dollars to the project. Thinking of moving twice, renting boxes and locations for the kids to go in. So the kids maintaining in the existing school actually saved the town of Wakefield a lot of money. So, on the 25th, knowing we were coming close to what was going on, members of the Traffic Advisory Committee, including our traffic advisor, John Kennedy from VHB, who's been in a lot of projects, met with Principal Mark Bedrosian, Wakefield Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Reich, to create a traffic plan for Galvin, and really looking at student safety and pedestrian safety in the area, getting to and from the school. On August 7th, we actually held a public forum meeting at the Public Safety Building and really limited to Armory Street. And Armory Street people got flyers, people that are on the street, about 20, 25 people came, and we had a very good give and take, and actually changed one of the recommendations based on input from the community at that meeting. So I do appreciate the people from coming in. So just a brief overview right now. You have the site right there. And currently, you see the school in the middle here of the property. You see Armory Street, which is currently a two-way street, and it is to the school. There is no parking currently on the south side of Armory Street. That's been a restriction that's been around for a while. That will remain. Currently, you exit the school onto Armory Street. There's technically no vehicular access on this road here into the school, but you can't exit the school that way. There are some no parking signs down below in front of CVS, no parking 9 to 2 in between the two driveways. There's no signage between CVS and Main, something that one of the citizens has mentioned to me. There is 2-hour parking on the north side of Armory Street currently, which is one of the things that we are going to recommend changes. And Armory Street is two-way. There is no parking on this little access road, and that will stay the same. So, in looking at the situation and being aware that unfortunately for the next, and we'll say for the next academic year, there will be no access, vehicular access to Main Street because of the phasing. Earlier, but it may not. So our first recommendation, this is the recommendation of the Traffic Advisory Committee, our consultant, the police chief, the DPW director, is to make Armory Street a one-way street from North Ave, so going east, I guess, from North Ave to Main Street. That's one way. There have been some questions, will it be just one way during school hours? No, it's gonna be one way all the time because that is much safer. And it'll be 7 days a week. It won't be just Monday through Friday. It'll be all the time one way from North Ave to Main Street. What that will allow happen is that will allow cars going in the morning with students to queue up on Armory Street. Hopefully they'll drop some of the children off and they can walk in through here. But if they choose not to and choose to go all the way through, I always tease my wife because I never really cared to school or not. I know a lot of parents like to see them go in the door today. So there will be a traffic around. The people come in, they'll be dropped off in front of the school, and they will exit out onto North Ave. There will be no exiting onto Armory Street from the school. It'll be a one-way flow in this way right here. We spent a lot of time in talking with the neighbors at that meeting that night, and what we came up with is on the north side of Armory Street, where there is parking right now, and it's limited to 2-hour parking, it will be resident parking only. After talking to the people that came to the meeting, they were very concerned. Right now, I know there are, the construction guys are parking here. They will not be parking there anymore once school starts. They'll have to go somewhere else. There may be some commuters that are parking near the end, but I haven't seen that in the times that I've gone through there, and frankly, haven't had many complaints about that, but we will be monitoring that as well. So it was felt by the neighborhood, and the people felt that that was a better option than limiting parking completely on that side during certain hours of the day. Police chief agrees, as does the DPW director. So the recommendations will be on Armory Street, which are the votes that I'll be needing to make it one-way. And I would start August 25th to get people used to that. And let's say through August 25th, 2015, will be one-way going east. And on the northerly side, it'll be resident parking only. Now, the way that resident parking is handled on all the streets that we just limit to resident parking only is that the residents are allowed to purchase stickers, for $10 a car. You have to bring in your license and registration, just show your address there. If you do have guests that come quite often, I know that Selectwoman Santos had brought that up to me, that guests could be important. Please, we will work that out with you, because I understand this is a burden for this street in particular. So please come to our office, you can see myself or Sherry, my assistant, and we'll make sure that people are aware of it and taken care of. Another thing to note is that during the next month, the first few weeks of school, maybe just the first few days, it's going to be interesting out there. People will have to get used to it. The traffic patterns will get together and people kind of figure it out. We will have more police present. There will be a police officer all the time in the beginning, exiting people out of North Ave, onto North Ave to keep the traffic flowing. We will have school and police personnel in here. The older students are going to be, 7th and 8th graders, are going to be instructed by the Galvin staff to drop those kids off Parent Street and have them walk up past the Armory on Armory Street, past the Armory on Armory Street, and then walk into the site that way. So we're trying everything we can to make what is going to be a tough situation for the next year as good as we can. The other item that will occur is the buses. The bus traffic will not mix in with the car traffic right now because of the phasing of the project. Later on, when I go back, I'll show you there is a real cutout bus area that's a little bit better. But right now, the plan is, and the DPW director has worked with the school department on this, is that buses will, in the morning, enter from North Ave along here, be dropped off in the back of the school. There's a doorway right there to go in, and will then exit out onto North Ave through the DPW driveway. That will keep buses, so no children will be in the buses when they come through. On the way, picking kids up from school, the buses will come in the other way. They'll go through the DPW driveway and pick up the kids and then come out to North Ave. We didn't want kids going through, being buses going through the DPW driveway. Our hope is that this access road will be completed quicker aspects so we can get the buses in and out onto Main Street in this manner here. So that, I think not having the buses mix in with the cars, parents will be better. You'll probably see all of us out there as school starts. I imagine myself, the DPW director, the police chief certainly will all be out there, kind of making sure to help out. We are really looking for the patience of the parents that drop off their kids. If they can carpool, that'll certainly be welcomed. I know that, and I'm sure the people in Armory Street that live there can tell you probably every car has one kid in it. Probably aren't too many carpooling families, unfortunately.
Carpooling family.
Yeah, you're a carpooling family?
I'm a
Well, we knew you would
yes,
be.
Absolutely carpooling.
So so the recommendation and changing the parking on the northerly side to resident parking only. Those are the two recommendations that I would need the votes on for that.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board members?
Steve,
Yes.
as someone who's close to the drop-off situation, where my kids are going into 6th and 8th, the first week of class is crazy because of the 5th grade parents
Right.
terrified of letting their children out of the car at the Big Bad Galvin. So I don't think that's a good, not all of them, but I witness it every year. I don't think that's a good, it's gonna be crazy anyways, without this it would be, so I almost think that second week needs to have a presence, because once the parents realize that the children are safe and can figure out how to get into school, you're still gonna have the learning curve here, because I know as an older parent, a parent of older kids, I'm not the first week off anywhere near the school because I want to avoid the new parents. So I'll be doing this route the second week.
Okay.
And I
We're
think
gonna be
that's
monitoring it,
really common.
really probably for that whole time.
Yeah.
If we see after and we talked about at the meeting, if we see after a few weeks, a month,
Right.
that there's a better way to do this,
Right.
then we're gonna come back, and we're not afraid to come back and say, hey,
Good.
let's look at this differently.
Because I think the
Good.
more normal traffic pattern establishes almost 2 to
Right.
3 weeks into the school year.
Paul?
Thank you, sir. I had a couple of questions brought to me from a couple of citizens regarding the Main Street Armory intersection, but Steve explained to us why it's going to be needed to keep the street completely shut down. There was a concern whether or not at least one way to get into the CVS off of Armory, left turn onto Armory, then into CVS. But where it's going to be used as a queuing to the school, I can see why it's all the ways to Main Street, so I agree with that. In the future, though, could you, if you look at figure 3 for just 2 seconds, the angle in which the cars come out onto North Ave is going to make it a little bit tricky now for that left-hand turn heading to the junction.
Right,
So,
that's why there'll be a
it-
police officer there.
right, so as we look at this right now, between that and the drop-off with the buses, whether or not that's going to be a traffic.
Okay.
Just for some future
Yep.
concern, I think that might be something that you might want to keep an eye on in that.
Because remember, that roadway there is designed when completed for two-way traffic.
Right,
So there should be, but we will monitor that and look at it.
I'm just
Paul. Thank you.
thinking the left-hand turn headed for the
Yeah.
junction, that's all, because of the angle. It's almost the same thing as the Felitti corner.
Okay.
Okay. Phil?
Thank you.
Well, I think maybe this is the way we have to do it, but I myself personally, going over this and talking about it to some of the people in the town, that one-way Armory Street is gonna be terrible. I think we're gonna have bigger problems than having that one-way. There's gotta be another solution than that one-way, and where you say, where you cut off. I just cannot see how we're not gonna have really a lot of problems, more problems than what we're anticipating. Isn't there anything else that we can do?
I will tell you, Phyllis, we looked at this long and hard. We brought our consultant in to look at it. There was another plan that, every plan that we looked at, because of the queuing on North Ave, the traffic expert, and he's been with us a long time, has done a lot of great work in the town, has said that this is the best of probably some less than great options.
Well, say we do
But
this.
if we find out in a month that it
Yeah,
isn't
and
working,
it doesn't work,
I'm happy to bring that back and talk and see what we can do.
okay. Okay.
Well, there'll still be crossing guards at the
There'll still be
old
crossing guards. In fact, the best crossing guard in Wakefield will still be in front of the Galvin School.
And who would that
Crossing
be?
people.
I mean, Joanne?
Yes. Still be out there in her pumps and gloves, yelling at anybody who doesn't follow her rules. And we'll be crossing the, hopefully mainly 7th and 8th graders across Maine, where we're instructing them to be dropped off.
Well, and that'll be helpful for the cars that are doing, you said the 7th and 8th graders will be asked to be dropped off in
Yeah.
front of the school still, so.
Right.
If you're continuing down there, a lot of people like to bang a left up Richardson to get back to the good side of town. And, so,
I wasn't going.
no, but I know there's a ton of traffic on Richardson. That's where parents used to wait. That was like the waiting area, so, just knowing that there'll be some help there.
We really are looking for everyone's patience for another year to keep everybody safe, parents, students, innocent bystanders, and I think you'll see a lot of people out there.
I liken this to the whole project. It's almost a smaller version of the whole project itself, where we displaced basketball and fields and things like that. It's something where, hey, everybody's got to just cooperate. We need to ask people to be nice and be understanding. It's not perfect because we're trying to get kids, hundreds or thousands, whatever the number is, of kids to a school that isn't finished yet, on a site that is designed for a traffic pattern that half the site's not finished yet. So it's just gonna be ugly. We've gotta do the best we can and ask people to be nice and just be understanding, I guess, for a year.
I hope the parents will be cooperative. This is important.
Yes.
And that they will drop their children off, and that they will, you know, put 2 or 3 together in a car.
Right.
I hope they will do instead of us having to bear the burden, that they're willing to do their share also.
We've already lined up our carpool for the year,
Right.
so.
And the school department, the superintendent is reaching out to the parents
Yeah.
to make sure that happens.
And he does a great job with that stuff, I'm sure. People tend to listen to Dr. Zarek, so I think they will. So, I know we said we would hear from the public on this, so come on up.
Oh, you answered all my questions other than.
Oh, really?
When's it all gonna start?
August 25th,
That's when it's gonna turn into a one-way street?
yes.
Okay. and
That's to
then-
give people a little time to get acclimated before school opens up.
No, that's cool. It's also, we have to pick up a sticker to
Yep.
park there, because I live right across the street from this intersection that you're talking about.
Yep.
And I've been there for about 15 years. That traffic pattern has been a mess. With the
Yes.
two-way, people coming out.
Yeah.
My truck got crashed into. Okay, so with the one-way street, I don't know if I would agree with it going that way, but 601, you're gonna feed them all down to North Ave and then funnel them out that way and have them queue up on the front end and then come down, turn it the other way. You're gonna have everybody dumping off by Restaurant Melise and then coming
Yeah,
around.
the feeling was that North Ave, where it's so heavily traveled, was tough to queue right now.
It is,
Now
it's
the
601,
issue.
you know, but really, that, eliminating anybody coming out of that one-way street,
Yes.
because people trying to get down that one-way street, two-way traffic. And I was just concerned about the parking, because I had heard that there was a possibility you might eliminate all on-street parking.
That was discussed at that meeting, and then it
Okay.
was, you know, we came together.
No, that's fine. I mean, so that was really my main concern. Turning it into a one-way street really is not an issue. For me, it will make it a lot simpler, I think, in the long run,
We hope so.
from watching it, but again.
It's a
you know,
narrow street right now, so.
Well, theory of
yeah.
unintended consequence, the one-side parking, the two-way that
Yeah.
it's been ever since I
Right.
moved there, which
Yeah.
has been 20 years. And now that will clear up, and then we'll see what happens down the future, we'll see.
And please, I think that if anybody, if you see anything during the days or something, please, I'm pretty accessible. Please get into my office, call, email. We want to know. See what we can do to make it better.
No problem. Well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Anybody else, or?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, do you mind coming up so you're just near the microphone? That if you have a seat, if people do want to speak, just have a seat so we
And
can
I
hear
just
you
want
on
to let
TV.
you know, Steve Mayo's my best friend.
What do you want?
Which way do you want the street to go?
I myself personally think it should go the other way to
Oh,
North Ave.
change it.
They should be able to come through the center, come down Main Street, take a right, come up Armory, drop their kids off at the walk-in, go down, and go left or right onto North Ave.
Okay,
It's a lot the parking for CVS, because you're gonna have tons of people cutting through CVS. When the trucks are there, because they supposedly don't come during any hours that the children are coming and going, which we know they come when the kids are coming and going, because I see them. The pattern, the flow on North Ave is a lot quicker than on Main Street. You have parking in front of CVS, you have parking in front of the Armory, you have parking in front of all the stores along the other side. Stylecraft, the dance studio, when people are dropping off, picking up children, and they're all backing out. You cannot take a left at the end of Armory Street onto Main Street. Anytime, doesn't matter if it's school, doesn't matter, anytime. You go down, you take a right and go that way, and then you go all the way around, or you go up and over and down the hill.
or you cut through CVS.
You don't cut through CVS because there's so much traffic now on West Water. There's so much traffic on West Water now because everyone is cutting through CVS.
We'll look at that too, but we did take all this into consideration, and we had a little discussion beforehand, so I'm not surprised.
Right, no, and I understand that, but I also want to just find out now, I told you I have so many cars at
Yeah.
home because I have so many
Right.
kids right now.
If we don't give you stickers, you can get rid of some of the kids though, right?
I
Isn't that
don't think
ideal?
so. What I want to know is, right now, I have a daughter whose husband is in England. She's home for whatever time. She's planning on going to England, so she's not changing her address to stay in Wakefield.
Yeah, we'll take care of that,
that's-
yeah.
But can I still,
We'll take care of that.
okay, all right, that's all I need to
Yeah.
know.
Don't ask too much.
Those are the easy ones.
This is all done, we're getting new street.
Oh, yeah, we getting a new street?
Are they gonna do our street from this construction's all done?
Oh, you mean repave Armory Street?
Yeah.
I don't know where that is on the list, but I'll talk to the DPW director to see what we can do to
Okay.
move that up.
All right, and another thing, those poles they're talking about the big poles, telephone poles that
Yes.
are along
Yeah.
North Ave?
On Arm Street.
When they dig them up on North Ave and put them on the other side by the train tracks,
Yes,
are they gonna do the sidewalk
on which
on
side?
North Ave?
On
Because
on which side?
on
Just
the
enough
side
they're
where
gonna leave big
move the
holes.
phone
They
poles.
wanna get the hole in it after they.
Oh, they'll
dig it
fix the
up.
sidewalk, yes, they'll
Yeah,
have
are
to
kids
fix.
gonna be allowed to walk down North Ave to get?
On the school side, we would want them on the school side.
Will they be able to walk down North Ave on the school side and go in?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yes.
kids will be able
Yes.
to, yes, absolutely, yes.
Hey, Steve, one of the points you made just about CVS, I know
Yeah.
that was in the ZBA decision that there shouldn't be, no deliveries during
Yeah.
school hours. Maybe reach out to
I
them
have
and,
that on my list.
yeah, and remind them that we might
Yeah.
be lenient any other time.
Right. They were also flyered, I say flyered, we actually went out and delivered flyers, CVS was as well. They did not come to the meeting.
Okay. Anybody else? You're welcome.
I just wanted to comment.
Just make sure you're at the mic, just
I
for
just
the,
wanted
for the
to-
millions of viewers at home, we want to make sure they hear you.
Well, I don't know Steve, but I'm sure you're a lovely person.
Just
Oh,
tell-
thank you.
Just ask him to be your best friend.
I could use a best friend. I just wanted to comment quickly on the drop-off situation. I also live across the street from the access road, and unfortunately, I leave for work at primo drop-off time. So my concern is just with making it a one-way or where the police detail is going to be. The instruction then is to have kids dropped off all along Armory Street, or?
Well, if we would hope that if they do drop them off on Armory Street, they could then go pull out of the queue and go down and exit. Okay, so we are looking at that too.
It's very difficult to get out of my driveway at that time.
Right.
At
One way now.
stop, they park
Yeah, okay.
right at the end of my driveway, and I have to
Which
sit.
side are you on?
I'm on
North
the
side.
north side.
The
Yeah.
opposite side?
Yep, the
Okay.
opposite side. So I literally sit there and wait for
And
carloads of
cars
kids.
are parked they park in front of your house?
Oh,
or
they stop directly
they stop
blocking my
directly, okay.
driveway.
All right, we'll be, like I said, we'll have personnel out there. and we'll
Yeah,
look at
that, I mean, that's just
Yeah.
basically, yes, it is gonna be inconvenient with the one-way, it is gonna be inconvenient with the restricted parking and stuff, but, as Steve mentioned, we had heard, we were out of town for the meeting last
Yeah.
week, but we had heard that there was gonna be no parking
Right.
on streets, so that was a big concern for us,
Yeah.
but I think,
That wasn't,
The
that was
resident
part of the
parking is
original
great.
plan, but we, in talking to the neighborhood, we thought we were convinced that was a better way to go.
I think so too.
Okay.
Yeah, just, that's it, just look for a little bit of help with the parents and,
Yeah.
directing and making sure that the residents that aren't using the school can get in and
Yeah.
out
Exactly.
safe. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I think having somebody, perhaps at the, as Phyllis pointed out, the CVS at the
Yeah.
Armory and Main Street intersection. I know that's brutal getting out of there, she said, anytime, just trying to take a left and time that light, but people have been waiting, coming from the right.
Yeah.
That don't really feel like letting you have their spot, 'cause
Well, I think the key is we all have to work together. It's gonna be it's gonna be a little bit testy, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Always managed to.
Say something. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on that in general? We good? Okay. There's 5 items here on the agenda that have been put in front of us. 2 of them, I understand, need votes. I think it's the one-way on Armory Street, and it's the,
Resident parking only. We can take that as one vote, then I can talk about Farm Street next.
okay, why don't we 2, I believe,
Right.
of that list of 5 items.
And my recommendation would be that Armory Street become a one-way eastbound from North Ave to Main Street with parking restricted to residents only on the north side.
And no parking on the south side.
Right, which is the way it is now, so
Okay.
that, don't even have to vote on that one.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to make 4, I think you said specifically for till the end of the school year?
I would say, yeah, why don't we make it, August 1st, 2015, to give us time to assess and come back to the board, if we need to.
Okay.
August,
We can always change it, right?
yeah,
If
right, we can come back anytime.
So, all right, through from
August
effective date,
25th,
starting
August 25th through
August
1st.
25th to through August 31st, 2015, to make Armory Street,
August 1st.
August 1st.
what did I say? I think I said
August
Armory.
25th, August
August
25th,
1st.
August 1st, 2015.
You got it. To make Armory Street a one-way from west to east, and to make the north side of the street resident parking only. Get a motion. Moved by
Second.
Tiz, second by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The second motion is regarding, I think you want to talk about it,
Sure,
Steve,
very-
regarding Farm Street
Farm Street.
parking.
The superintendent and the high school staff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The superintendent and the high school staff have been concerned for years about the student parking on Farm Street from Hemlock Road all the way down, although we don't let students park in front of the Woodville School, then it picks up again as you go further down Farm Street. Students are getting into car accidents, they're opening up their doors into traffic. Think about it, all those doors are on the left side where they're getting out into traffic. Town was very gracious and funded a new, the new athletic facilities, and including in that was a parking area that has 82 parking spaces in it, which is across from Landrigan Field. If you've been up there lately, you know there are walkways, so you never even have to go on Hemlock Road. You can walk out of that parking lot, down, and get right down into the rear entrance of the school by the field house without ever going on a road. It's lit, it's striped, it's very well organized. What we are requesting is that we limit parking and post no parking on Farm Street from Hemlock Road all the way past the Woodville School. No parking 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. What this does is this gets the students off of Farm Street, okay, up onto Hemlock Road, and allows spots during the day, mainly for parents and visitors that the Woodville School in particular, and if you've ever gone to the Woodville School to read, in particular, there is no place for you to park. This will give some spaces in front of Farm Street for that. And I'm very happy that my senior son is no longer here to hear me recommend this vote.
How many, it looks like a net benefit by a long shot.
Yeah, there's
How
probably
many
like 50 or so cars on that, in front of the school,
All right,
if that many.
And so we've taken 50 spaces, and we've created a parking lot that holds 82.
Exactly,
And said, please park there.
yes.
Pretty fair ask, so. And a noble one for its benefits during the day for parents and visitors at both schools.
And this was a direct request from the superintendent.
Great, great.
Steve?
Discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, before I was redistricted, I was at the Woodville School and did that pickup, which was crazy, but I always parked in the side high school parking lot near where the orchestra and band
Right,
was, because
yeah.
high school kids were getting out at that time. And still continue to notice is kids tee up by the tennis courts, and they go a little fast down that hill. And with more students parking, I've always thought they have the portable speed bumps. I've always thought something to slow them down, because they, especially the Voc kids, there's nothing stopping them when they're coming down that hill. And a lot of them come very fast and aren't allowing people to take that turns. And if we have that many more cars coming in, my concern is high school kids leaving and Voc leaving, it could be a little problematic with teenage drivers. And I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if we have someone just remind the students that they can't drive 30 miles an hour.
And I think we'll do all of that, we'll do all of the education pieces, but we also will have, patrols up there looking at that in the beginning, and we'll reach out to the Voc superintendent and what have you to get that word all out there.
And just because daily, the speed that was a little fast.
Will do.
All right, any other discussion? Good. All right, I'll entertain a motion to make the east side of Farm Street, as described in our packet, no parking from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Tiz, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great.
Excellent, guys.
All right, that concludes our full agenda. Do we want to talk about the warrant at all, Steve, or that's just informational
No, that's
at
just for
this
your
point?
information. At the primary warrant,
Yes.
primary on the 9th.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. With that, we'll move to comments from members, so starting with our esteemed town council.
I just want to say that Steve Mayo is my best. Nothing else.
Steve, would you like to say anything to
No,
all your
I've
friends?
said quite enough tonight. I don't want to lose any friends.
Go ahead, Phyllis, please.
I'm all set.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Mr. Chairman. I just want to congratulate everyone who participated over the weekend in the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I think it was a very great cause for everyone participating. But as a lot of people were trying to make known to everybody, it's not just doing the challenge, it's also making the contribution to the cause. Don't forget to mail in that $10 check if you did the challenge, or the $100 if you elected not to. A reminder to everyone, the Festival Italia event is going, the dinner is August 22nd, the Friday. Tickets are still on sale at the item and at Smith Drug. Reserve your table now, but quickly. We have 14 eateries supplying us with food that night. DJ, music, dancing. It's going to be a very good evening. Also on the Saturday from 2 to 8, downtown will be closed. The Festival Italia will be occurring. WCAT will be there broadcasting live, or on simulcast or whatever, on tape, let's say. There you go, on tape, throughout the event, and I believe they'll also be down at the 4th of July, I should say, the firework display that evening. So it's a great event for the entire town. A lot of people are planning to attend, and should be something worthwhile. So again, that's it. Thank
Great.
you.
Tiz?
All good?
Great. Ann?
I just want to mention that Wakefield was voted, is it number 3rd into real estate? More specifically, the real estate numbers.
Third hottest real estate
Right,
market.
3rd hottest real estate market. And I was with a lot of Wakefield people over the weekend, and everyone was commenting on it. Everyone was talking about what a great gem we have in this town, and seemed to be on board to, do what we can to spark up the downtown. But it had such a nice positive, gave nice positive energy to folks. So, good news. Good news is good news. Plus, with the tech award that you worked for, Steve, it's all going in the right direction. So, that's it.
Great. Just a couple things. Further to your ALS, the good news on that is they're measuring this like roughly the last week or so this year versus the last week or so last year. They got $22,000 in that period last year, and they $35 million. So it's working, but I agree, a lot of people are having fun dumping ice and forgetting about the scratch that goes along with it. That really counts. But the awareness alone, nobody could ever want for better PR than that. So I have, let's see, a couple of things. So first of all, the Galvin, just with respect to that, I just want to really congratulate and recognize at this point. I know the school's not open yet, but certainly the Permanent Building Committee has done a great job shepherding that process along. Our fellow board member, Pat Glynn, who's not here tonight, has played an integral role in that, as has Chip Tarbell. But the project is on schedule and on budget, which is just, great, wonderful things to hear in town government, at any level of government these days. And I guess recently they've achieved a significant milestone called substantial completion, which is something in the contract that triggers or doesn't trigger certain events. And the contractors and all of the contractors have reported that they've achieved the substantial completion milestone. So things are moving along there great. For my money and from my vantage point, It's probably one of the best-run projects around of its type, and I think everyone just really is to be commended. While we're on it, I just want to note, so I mentioned Pat. I also mentioned Chip Tarbell. I just am noticing a trend. So Chip's on our zoning board. He's also on our permanent building committee. He was also integral behind the scenes on all of our field upgrades and the field house and all that work. He's got a long professional history in that area and has just donated his talents in that regard. I think he's worked on facilities like the Doyle School, right? I mean, to me, it seems that every time there's something that we're doing, not every time, but most of the times, there's Chip seems to be floating in the background, playing a quiet, unnoticed role, which he'll probably kill me for bringing this up. But
Sometimes he's not always quiet, though.
he's definitely well put. He's not quiet, but he's not public about his role. He doesn't seek that. He really is just there to offer his expertise and really his time to so many of these things in the town. I think he's a great asset to you, Steve, and all the folks that work with you. So. On all of these projects. So, really congratulations to him. I just keep hearing his name popping up everywhere, which led me to something I talked briefly to Steve about. In the town I grew up in, we always had a Citizen of the Year every year that got named. It was run through the local newspaper. It doesn't have to be that way here necessarily, but I found it to be. It was always interesting every year who would get named. It was typically somebody everybody knew. That's how you get to be Citizen of the Year. But it was people who did great things. I think if we had that award, Chip would be at the top of the list, certainly of mine, as somebody who's just done just wonderful things day in and day out and gives his time. But it does beg the larger question. Do we want to institute something like that? I think it's a good point of civic pride. And just a nice opportunity for people to get nominated and then publicly recognized just for having been nominated. So there are a ton of volunteers that do things in this town. We really rely on volunteer efforts. There's 7 of us sitting here that are volunteers. Not that any of us want to be citizen of the year. That's not the idea. We want to recognize other people. So there's a lot of people that like Chip that are doing things kind of behind the scene, less public. They're not elected. They don't have their names on signs and all that craziness. They're just there because they care about the town. And if there's something we can do about that, I don't know if we involve the Chamber of Commerce or the newspaper or whatever the case may be in putting something like that together. I don't want to throw it to you, Steve, and say, go figure it out now that we have these great ideas. Now it's your problem. But maybe let's just talk about it and maybe come up with something. Maybe we can, as a committee, maybe form a little committee of the Board of Selectmen to kind of run something like that. But I just think it'd be really nice. There's a lot of volunteers. It's worth having them get recognized. Again, even if you're just a nominee, you're a finalist, but not the actual recipient, it's really meaningful. So I think it'd be smart to just kind of quick and easy and important way to give back to those who are given to us. So that's my thought on that. And while I'm at it, I'll just comment briefly on my best friend, Steve Mayo. So I hope Gerard Lehman's not watching. But you, Steve, it's come, in thinking about this, you do a lot of things in the community as well. It's your job as town administrator, so it's kind of directly related to your job that you're in the community, which are the people you serve. You're hanging out with your customers, if you will. But I do know that you don't have to do those things. I know that you participate in a lot of charity events. You seem to show up at everything, every event that Paul has, every event that, whatever they are, whether it's charity auctions, charity golf tournaments, you seem to show up at just about everything. And I think a lot of times, just so everybody knows, when Steve's making donations, it's Steve making donations. It's not the town. He doesn't have a budget to do that. He's just doing the right thing in his job. So, again, sorry, Gerard, but, nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job, Steve, and keep up the good work. I mean, we support you in that, getting out of the office and showing your love for the town and your greater commitment, I think, is just so important. So, with that, you also can't be Citizen of the Year, by the way.
That's quite all right.
Phyllis.
Talking about that, it's not only that Steve does all that, and I really firmly believe this. There are so many things that Steve Mayo does to help people that this town does not know about. It has nothing to do with the town. I mean, if they have a problem, his door, he's the one town administrator that, and I've been here a lot of years, that the door is always open. And I've seen people come to him with personal problems, not his problems at all, but he's always willing to listen. And if he can help in any direction, he does it. And I think that's one of his most important assets.
Yep, agreed. I know he helps people with housing issues and things like that, just
Yeah.
that are outside the scope of the job. But very smart practice to take care of people. So,
Thank you.
enough with that, so.
Okay.
So on that note, do I have a motion to adjourn? But, really, Steve, great job.
Thank you. You
Keep
guys
up,
make it
and,
easy.
And we'll talk. All right. Mr. Donaco has moved that we adjourn the meeting, and Ms. Hull has seconded the motion as their unanimous consent. We're all in. All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.